It wasn't supposed to end like this. A drink that once stood toe-to-toe with Coca-Cola and Pepsi now sits forgotten on dusty convenience store shelves. Once, RC Cola was a symbol of rebellion, the outsider brand people rooted for. It had flavor, fans, and history on its side. But somehow, the underdog lost. To understand how RC Cola went from America's favorite alternative to a nostalgic relic, we have to go back to the small grocery shop in Georgia, where one stubborn man decided he'd never buy Coca-Cola again. 1. The feud that started it all. In 1903, in the bustling town of Columbus, Georgia, a local grocer named Claude A. Hatcher was furious. His store sold huge amounts of Coca-Cola, yet the company refused to give him a fair discount. That moment of pride and anger changed soda history forever. Rather than keep helping Coca-Cola grow richer, Hatcher decided to make his own soft drink. In the basement of his shop, using syrup, sugar, and a homemade carbonation setup, he started experimenting with flavors. Out of those bubbling mixtures, a new drink was born, one that would one day challenge the giants. But this wasn't just about soda, it was about principle. And that sense of defiance would define RC Cola's identity for the next century. Still, Hatcher had no idea how many battles and heartbreaks were waiting ahead, because the fight with Coca-Cola, that was just the beginning. 2. Cherry Dreams and a Legal Nightmare. Hatcher's company, first called Cherry Cola, quickly caught people's attention. It was smooth, sweet, and had a bold flavor that fans loved. Within a few years, Cherry Cola was selling across the South and giving Coca-Cola real competition. But success attracts enemies. Coca-Cola, threatened by this new rival, didn't just compete on taste. They went to court. They claimed that the word cola in Cherry Cola's name was too similar to their own. After years of legal pressure, Cherry Cola lost the battle. The company was forced to drop cola from its name, a devastating blow to a brand whose identity revolved around it. Losing that single word shattered their connection with customers. Imagine being told you can't even call your soda a cola anymore. Sales plummeted. The once promising brand suddenly looked like an imitator instead of an innovator. But while Coca-Cola celebrated its victory, RC's team quietly regrouped. And what they came up with next would change soda forever. 3. Reinvention and a spark of genius. After years in the shadows, the brand returned in 1934 under a new name, Royal Crown Cola, or simply RC Cola. And it wasn't just a rebrand, it was a statement. RC Cola was smoother, sharper, and bolder than before. The company experimented with flavor innovations long before their competitors dared to. They were the first to release a diet soda decades before Diet Coke or Pepsi Light existed. They even created caffeine-free options before it was trendy. For a brief moment, RC Cola was ahead of everyone. But being first isn't the same as winning. The company lacked Coca-Cola's deep pockets and Pepsi's flashy marketing. While RC poured its soul into better products, its rivals bought billboard after billboard, locking in brand loyalty through sheer exposure. Still, RC had something the others didn't. A passionate fan base that saw it as the soda for outsiders, for people who didn't want to follow the crowd. And that rebellious spirit made RC a cultural phenomenon in some parts of America. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing again. 4. The diet craze that backfired. By the 1950s and 60s, America was obsessed with health, weight loss, and image. RC Cola saw the shift early and decided to strike first. They released Diet Right, the world's first sugar-free cola. It was revolutionary, the first major soda brand to remove sugar completely. People went wild for it. Sales exploded. For once, RC was the one setting the trend, not following it. But then came disaster. The US government suddenly banned the artificial sweetener RC used, claiming it could be unsafe. Overnight, RC lost its biggest innovation. Stores pulled Diet Right off shelves, and customers turned back to Coca-Cola and Pepsi. The company had gambled on the future and lost. Still, RC refused to die. They diversified, investing in fast food chains like Arby's and launching creative new marketing ideas. But the focus shifted away from soda. The soul of the company, that rebellious, small-town energy, started to fade. And that's when a businessman named Victor Posner entered the picture. 5. The wrong hands. When Posner bought RC Cola in the 1980s, he didn't care about heritage or passion. He cared about quick profit. His business strategy was simple: buy a company, squeeze it for money, and sell it off. He didn't believe in RC's potential. He cut costs, fired teams, and flipped assets like they were poker chips. Within years, the once iconic cola was stripped of its identity. Ownership changed again and again, from Triarch to Cadbury Schweppes, and later to Keurig Dr. Pepper. Each new owner treated RC as just another product line, not a legacy. While Coca-Cola and Pepsi were expanding globally, fighting billion-dollar marketing wars, RC was being passed around like a forgotten heirloom. The dream Claude Hatcher started in his grocery basement was fading fast. But there was one more twist in RC's story, one last glimpse of what could have been. 6. The underdog spirit lives on. Despite decades of neglect, RC Cola never truly disappeared. In small southern towns and dusty diners, it still had fans who swore it tasted better than anything from the Big Two. In the Philippines, RC found a new home. The soda that failed to conquer America became a sensation overseas, outselling Coke and Pepsi in some regions. It was proof that the drink itself was never the problem. The problem was who was leading it. RC Cola always had the flavor, the ideas, and the courage to take risks. What it lacked was stability, strategy, and luck. Every time it innovated, something bigger knocked it down. Lawsuits, government bans, corporate greed. It wasn't a lack of vision that doomed RC Cola. It was being born in a world where giants guard their thrones with everything they have. And yet, even after all that, RC never truly died. Because every time someone cracks open that blue can, they're drinking more than soda. They're drinking history, a story of rebellion, resilience, and heartbreak. The Forgotten King. RC Cola's fall isn't just about business. It's a lesson about what happens when innovation meets power. It's about how great ideas can be buried under marketing budgets and legal battles. Claude Hatcher started his company because he wanted fairness, and in a poetic twist, that fight for fairness became the very reason RC suffered. Competing against corporate titans meant always being a few steps away from disaster. Today, RC Cola survives quietly, a whisper of the past, in a market that forgot its name. But for those who know the story, it's more than just a drink. It's proof that even when you lose the battle, you can still win hearts.